Alright, game changers, welcome back to another video here today. So I feel like I haven't really talked about my review on Xdefiant. I know I have been playing it a lot, I've been talking about it, but I haven't really given my kind of review playing this game so far. Now, I do like the game, I've been playing it, like I said before, putting hours into it, but I do have a few criticisms of the game as well. But just right out of the gate, Xdefiant's feel and gunplay, they feel good, but there are issues obviously with the netcode and the hit registration that are really plaguing it right now. And although with that being said, when the game works as intended, the actual combat encounters really feel tight, exciting, and fast paced. But going hand in hand with this gunplay is the movement and the feel of the game. And there's no prone in the game. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, it depends on the player. I think it's a good thing, because being prone with the drop shotting in Call of Duty gets really annoying real fast. But it does, in itself, Xdefiant brings that familiar, arcadey shooter vibe with it, like Call of Duty does, which is something a lot of people really do enjoy. Another thing that Xdefiant does have going for it is the weapon balance. And at the time, of this commentary, I would say that it is pretty balanced for the most part. Obviously, there are S tier, A tier, B tier weapons, and they have their own ranks. The M16 is my top right now, and M16 is really good. It melts people. The AK-47, the ACR, those are the top guns as far as the assault rifles go. MP7, as far as the SMGs go, I think those are really top tier weapons right now that are dominating some of the others. And speaking of guns, the weapons can be customized as per the norm in most shooters nowadays, but it closely resembles that of Call of Duty's Gunsmith. And players can mix and match, the barrels, stock, more to fit their playstyle. But thankfully, Ubisoft has adjusted the weapon XP progression now, so it's a lot easier to unlock the attachments for weapons compared to how it was at launch. And even the faction abilities, which one might assume will be a main issue when it comes to balance, have been relatively balanced enough that it feels like every faction ability is overpowered. And that doesn't sound or mean anything like it needs to be nerfed or changed, but so far each of the factions that we have available serve a purpose. Another thing the game has going for it are the maps, and at launch all the maps kind of feel suited for each game mode that they're in. Personally, I like Publicito, I don't know what it's called, something like that, Noodleplex most, but a lot of the maps are pretty well made and well designed. So I do like all of them. There's not one that I particularly hate. So I'm fine with the maps. And then mixing in perfectly with the maps are the modes. And all the modes for Xdefiant are objective based for the most part, though that changed recently with the addition of Team Deathmatch. And somebody who has been primarily playing TDM, like in Call of Duty, that's all I basically play. I don't even play any objective modes in there. I actually like objective modes better in Xdefiant. I feel like it works better in this game. I mean, I don't mind TDM here and there, but I actually prefer the objective modes, and probably my favorites are Domination and Occupy more than any of the others. I have yet to try Capture the Flag as of yet. I don't know how that would play, but I'm assuming it'll be good, but I don't know, I haven't tried that, so I can't really comment on that game mode. But as a whole, Xdefiant doesn't play like a free-to-play game, and that's a good thing given that the balance, weapons, and general feel of the game is pretty well suited. And while the actual core is pretty sound, Xdefiant does have a few nagging issues that keep consistently persisting even after the updates that they've been putting in. And one thing that's really annoying right now, and I feel like everybody would agree with me, is that spider bot. My god, they need to, I hate that thing so much. And it's also missing a few features and gameplay design, just kind of made me scratch my head. And let's talk about that. And for all the things Xdefiant does right, it does have a few annoying issues that will get on people's nerves. Let's start with the netcode. I've talked about this before. While the devs have been toiling away at it, and I know they're working on it, and the good thing is that the devs are pretty communicative with the community. It's a much better place than it was at launch. Also, it still has its issues, and it's not perfect by any means, and it needs to be actively worked on, and it needs to improve. And don't be surprised that you're dying around corners, and even worse behind cover, because these are part of these net issues, code issues that we've been experiencing. And it's not as prevalent as it has been in comparison to launch. it still is an issue. And even though the netcode might be one of the things that affects gameplay the most, it's not the only sore spot for the game. For a shooter that focuses on objectives, there's no way to ping or communicate with teammates in game. And yes, I know that they announced that it's going to be in the game. The fact that it wasn't in the game to begin with for a shooter released in 2024, it's kind of unacceptable. Like, it's crazy to me that it wasn't there at launch. And continuing with the issues with objectives, the game rewards players for going for kills rather than helping your team. I mean, go after objectives, yeah, you'll earn score, but not as much as getting kills. And your ultra won't charge as fast as compared to getting kills. Again, this is another just kind of weird design that doesn't seem to make sense. I don't think it was thought through all the way. And another thing that might irk players is that the match waiting times kind of take long. Like, sure, finding matches are like instantaneous, but starting it is a different matter. Like, you have to wait for the creating match screen, loading, and then round start time. And while you're waiting for that, you can't customize anything. I hate that. And once a match is over, you have to wait for the player of the game to finish first, see your team's stats, and then load into the lobby. You can't skip any of these. This is why it just leaves players, and it leaves myself especially, just frustrated, and you cannot skip any of these. And this is why a lot of players just leave a match that's about to end. Again, for a shooter that's released in 2024, it's a bit hard to take. And when you factor in that we have SSDs in our consoles now, there's no reason for matches to dilly-dally this long. While it's nothing major, the game's progression needs work as well. And once you hit a certain level, there's essentially nothing to grind for, no skins, no calling cards, weapons, no nothing. The dev team is aware of this and changes are in store, but honestly speaking, by the time that they implement this, the player base might have already moved on, because we have a very short window for this, and people's attention spans aren't very long. Remember that when I said weapon balance seems to be on point for the most part, it is safe for the snipers. For some reason, it's very easy to snipe in Xdefiant, and they're so annoying, even with the added flinch. And in one match, I managed to pick up a sniper rifle from a fallen enemy, and I rattled off 4 to 6 kills using it. And I really don't snipe a lot in games, and it was just easy to me. If I had to hazard a guess, it's the lack of idle sway coupled in with the larger health pool, resulting in a longer time to kill and not enough flinch that contributes to this. Of course, with Xdefiant being a free-to-play game, there needs to be a way for Ubisoft to earn some money, right? The shooter employs your standard battle pass, and there are also new items being introduced in the in-game shop. However, the actual bundles and cosmetics for sale are a bit on the weak side, as most are just recolors of existing skins, and the fact that each one costs quite a lot, like $20. Well, I don't see players being incentivized to open their wallets. I mean, I do want to throw some extra coin to show my appreciation for the devs. I mean, if I'm really enjoying the game, but $20 per cosmetic bundle, nah, I'm not gonna do that, man. For a game that draws plenty from other major Ubisoft IPs, I like to see some more unique cosmetics that play more with these IPs than what we have now. I mean, give us some full crossover skins of characters from each faction that it's based on. Now, I'm not saying go Call of Duty crazy and start introducing all these random collaborations like the recent Gundam one, but I'm saying that the studio should bank more on nostalgia with some of these faction IPs, as it wouldn't feel like something out of the ordinary given how the game is set up. Now, Xdefiant is in an odd spot. It's a free-to-play arcade shooter that has a solid core gameplay, but one that's mirrored in issues that bog down the overall experience. It's like being served a good steak, but with the sides that are kind of bland. Sure, it does a trick, but it could be so much more. Like I said before, I am, at the end of the day, enjoying Xdefiant. I love that it's free to play, and I am still putting hours into it. But even so, does it respect the player enough to warrant pouring hours into it? I'm gonna say yes, but barely. Sure, the developers have promised a lot of things that are headed to the game, but we can't grade a product based on its potential only, right? If the devs do manage to add the ping system in, which they said they are going to, adjust the objective scoring, then that could make Xdefiant one of the year's best multiplayer experiences. But until that happens, we need to score it based on what's on the table. And for now, Xdefiant is worth the download and disc space. I mean, some people won't agree, and obviously people will just go right back to Call of Duty, and I understand that, I get it. But right now, I still think this game is far from perfect, and it does need to mend itself. It needs to add in a whole lot of things in order to be better. But if it does execute some of those things, I think it will make it a definite competitor with some of the other shooters on the market, and mainly the main competitor right there, Call of Duty. So again, like I said before, some of the pros are the gunplay feels good. The devs have been very spot on with the communication. The factions all have a purpose. Weapon balance for the most part is solid, and the future does look good for Xdefiant. The cons, like I said before, mentioned before, are the netcode. Still an issue. Snipers are still OP even after flinch has been added. Loads of missing features that should be added in the game. The ping system, crossplay working properly. Takes a long time to get into and end a match, and also we should be able to work around the menu when it's saying create a match or even at the end of the match. And at the moment, the grind progression is barren outside of the mastery weapon skins. But let me know some of the things that you think are the pros for this game, some of the things that you think are cons, and anything else that I may have missed in this video. Anyways, let me know all of that down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys hit that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell to be notified every single time I upload a video. Now with that being said, this is GCP signing off.